relationships. And one of the as you walk away from this, you're going to be disappointed because somebody else might tip you off and be like, "Hey, he was talking about relationships," and you're going to be looking back like, "Dang, what I missed." And that's kind of something that happens when we break up with individuals. And that's where we're going to dive into today's topic. Because after a breakup, you're often left with 1,000 unanswered questions, right? Your ex might say one thing, but their actions or just their silence are telling a completely different story. So, what are they really thinking? And what are they hiding? You end up lost in a storm of confusion, replaying every conversation, searching for clues. You might have missed something in the past. You might not have seen something before. You're trying to see what's going on, and it's a painful place to be, and it's completely normal to feel lost there. The silence that follows a breakup is rarely empty. It's usually filled with unsaid words, half truths, and secrets that can keep you emotionally chained to the past. And there are a lot of individuals who have worked in relationship coaching. We had Sarah that was on the show that was talking about this, and I can tell you that even in my experience, I have seen that many people are going through a breakup feeling like there's a missing piece of the puzzle. They think if they just knew the real reason, if they could just uncover that one last secret, they would finally get to move on. And while that's not always the whole picture, understanding the hidden dynamics is a key step towards getting your peace of mind back. Hiding things in a relationship often comes from a place of fear, and it could be the fear of being judged, the fear of causing more pain, or the fear of facing a hard truth about themselves. Now, Michael says silence has lots of noise in the head, and it is, and he's not meaning that you're going crazy. The implication there is that when you've got a lot of noise in your head, you're replaying multiple different conversations, multiple different experiences at the same time. There's so much back and forth going on in your head, replaying every fight, every discussion, every time you got fussed at, every time you fussed at your partner, every single scenario that boils down to y'all broke up. It's a lot of noise. It's a lot of things that's just like weighing down on your chest. It is a lot of things that hold you back. And sometimes it's hard to move on, cope, or reassess your situation. And coping and reassessing your situation are not the same thing. Coping is being able to get through it. Reassessing your situation is being able to reevaluate what you've got going on and devise a plan to move forward. Your ex isn't automatically a bad person for keeping secrets, and sometimes they're protecting their own fragile egos or in their own misguided way trying to protect you. But that doesn't make the impact any less damaging. So in tonight's show, we're going to look behind the curtain. Yet again, we have unearthed Oz almost every show. And we're also going to explore the more unorthodox secrets, the ones that are more shocking and can completely reframe how you see the entire relationship. My goal isn't to cause you more pain, but to give you clarity. Because by understanding what they might be hiding and why, you can finally stop searching for answers from them and start building your own path to closure exclusively for yourself. So let's start with the secrets that show up most often. These are the ones that I hear about almost daily in a lot of the conversations I have with some of the fans on the show. They might seem like standard breakup issues, but their power can cause pain and confusion. And that confusion is huge. Now, This is the tip of the iceberg. So what you can often sense is something there that you just can't quite put your finger on. And you also can't quite prove it either. Oh, Michael says, and it's also normal. Yeah, you damn right, it's normal. This happens in we have this repetitive pattern of behavior, different types of behavior. It happens in relationships so often. We experience them in our relationships so often we dismiss them. Because we dismiss them, we don't utilize the information from them to be able to address the issues that are causing us to continuously get into relationships that don't last. It is not just the other person's fault. It is not just our fault. It is not just our poor decision making in the relationship or their poor decision making in a relationship. There's something happening. There's a breakdown that occurs. And when that breakdown occurs, whether it is communication, whether it is paying attention to nonverbal cues, whether it is uh, um, the availability of time, the feeling of fulfillment, whatever the case is, you miss something. The other person missed it too. One person has a complaint about one thing, the other person has a complaint about another, and there's only tit for tat, not resolving the issues. And that is the biggest problem. Because there's tit for tat and no interest in resolving the issues, the hardest part is that after it's over, your ability to resent the other person for leaving alongside deflecting from taking your own responsibility prevents you from looking at some of the things that could have left you and your partner in a better position to keep the relationship in a healthy, happier position. Think about the fact that men might say their ex is crazy. Women might say their ex is insecure and low self-esteem and undervaluing themselves. But we're not saying like what really happened in the relationship. We just deflect everything onto the other person. So they're the problem that needs fixing. And that problem is now somebody else's problem. But we're not looking at what we need to fix. There are always two people in a relationship that has people come together, and there's at least two people, if not more, that has those people come apart. And one of the people is you. And you have to look at where you went wrong in this relationship so that you can figure out how you are going to improve so that when the next relationship comes, you should not have these issues. And a lot of times we tell ourselves we're not going to experience the same thing, get into a new relationship and have the exact same behavior patterns where we have not grown ourselves before our partner has grown at all. So yes, Michael's right. It's also very normal. So let's start with the first secret, the real reason for the breakup. Now, this is going to be a big one. Your ex gives you a vague cliche reason for ending things. You hear the classics. It's not you, it's me. I just need to work on myself now, or I'm not ready for a serious relationship. While there might be a tiny bit of truth in those statements, they're also almost never the full story. They're a smokescreen designed to soften the blow. Oh, he said, X is crazy when you wake up and she's what piled all the Christmas presents in the middle of the room and set fire to them. I well, if that's what she did, and that's the reason why you were like, nope. After the fire department put this house out, you got to get out. That's a crazy ex. however, however, you also can say that she was extremely emotional in that situation, and I know that women are always passed off as overly emotional when they do drastic actions. However, something triggered her to decide that destroying the Christmas presents in the middle of the house would get your attention so that you could focus on a problem that she has that you're not addressing, that she's trying to address, but she doesn't have a good job with articulating it. That problem led to her setting a house on fire. The fact is that her decision is not the right approach, but she didn't know what else to do in that situation. So she is extremely reacting to a negative and volatile situation because the other people in the situation that are supposed to be working with her are not working with her. They're working against her, or at least that might be how she feels. So when you look at it from this perspective, she wasn't all that crazy. She got your attention. Now you have to listen to her to find out why she burned the house down. But had you listened beforehand, the house would not have gotten burned down. Think about that. Or could you say she's hot? She's not hot. The house is hot. Well, okay. I wouldn't call it coping issues because, first of all, there's an issue to resolve the situation. So imagine this, Mike. You're 7 years old. So imagine every day, three people. Doesn't matter what race they are, doesn't matter what gender they are, doesn't matter what age they are. They enter your house forcibly and they beat you for about 5 hours every day. You call the police, nobody comes. You call for an ambulance, nobody comes. You're screaming for help. Not even a neighbor looks out the window to see what's going on. This happens for several weeks, several months. Eventually, you're setting booby traps in the house. You're putting up surveillance cameras, collecting weapons, and then when somebody who you wasn't expecting to enter the house enters the house, you are doing everything you can to end that person's life because no one will help you. If somebody would have listened to you when this first started happening, you probably could have gotten this resolved in a different fashion. When you are in a position where you are not being received, it's not about your inability to cope. It's the other person's inability to acknowledge the fact that you have an issue. And that's the biggest part about that. Is that I don't. It was a friend told me her girlfriend did it. Yeah, but no, that I know you don't, and I don't neither. We don't. It we don't mess with people that burn down houses. It's just the principle of the fact that it's not just that she's crazy. She has something that is disturbing her, and it is not being addressed. Not always do you need to run off and go and get you a therapist to be heard. Not always do you need to run off and go and get you a psychiatrist to be understood. Sometimes the people in your situation just have to stop being difficult and start trying to cooperate with you in order for you to resolve your issue. But if they're going to dismiss you as crazy, they're still dismissing you. They're still dismissing your point of view. They're still dismissing your concerns. And while they're dismissing you, they're also refusing to cooperate. They're refusing to negotiate. They're refusing to compromise. And that is the underlying issue. It's not that you're crazy. It's not that the girl in the example is crazy. It is that there is no compromise, cooperation, or negotiation in that particular type of discussion. So drastic actions have to happen in order to get somebody to stop and look and see that there is a problem here that needs to be addressed. When we start seeing people act out of character, they're acting out of character because there is a huge underlying problem that is not being addressed. No matter how loud they say it, it's not being addressed. He said, call 811, three hole to dig. Not well, yeah. You heard and the police officer that came up. You mean feeling violated? You're okay. So some people are going to feel violated. Some people are going to feel misunderstood. Some people are going to feel ignored. All three valid feelings. But you should not be in a situation where you have to cope with feeling undervalued, under recognized. You know, you're not supposed to have to cope with that. You're supposed to work through why that's happening so that you can address that. He said, you mean not dealing with her underlying issues? Exactly. No one's dealing with her underlying issues. That's what would lead to the house being set on fire. That's the act out of character to get attention, even if that attention is good or bad. Some people, we, our society responds to negative behavior. We do not receive positive behavior. So the first thing we want to do is we want to find fault in somebody else. Somebody else screwed up. Somebody else did something wrong. We do not want to put effort into the good things. So if a positive approach to negotiations, requests, compromise are not received, then the only other way to get people to start paying attention is negative actions. There's no other way because there's no compromise, there's no cooperation, especially when you're in a situation where the other person has more control over the situation than you do. You're not being heard, you're not being seen, and that's an issue. But you shouldn't be in that type of situation. So why hide the real reason that you're breaking up? In a lot of situations, often it's to protect your personal feelings, because in a breakup you might have valid reasons for you as to why you broke up with the other person, but the other person is not going to validate them because you're leaving the other person. So you lie about why you're breaking up with them. They know that the complete brutal truth would be devastating. That's why they're not telling you. For example, do you really think an ex is going to say, I'm just not attracted to you anymore? Or I met someone who excites me more than you? It's much easier to give a generic excuse than to face the fallout from that kind of honesty. Other times it's about protecting self image. So when they're not trying to protect your feelings, they're trying to protect their own image. They don't want to be the bad guy, admitting that they lost feelings, got bored, or just want to play the field. And that makes them feel selfish. So they create a story where the breakup is a sad necessity, a matter of bad timing, instead of a direct rejection of you. And this lets them walk away with a clearer conscience, leaving you to deal with the confusing half truths they left behind. The real secret could be anything from loss of attraction to a desire for someone new, but you're left trying to fix a problem they never even told you about. He said that's why they're a mess. There is no need for meds. Open communication. We talk to our best friends. We talk to our sisters and brothers. We talk to our fathers and mothers, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas. We communicate our disbelief, our discontent, our lack of satisfaction. We can get a therapist who is paid to sit there and listen to us complain about the same thing every week, like clockwork, as if complaining about it every week is ever going to fix it. Where a therapist wouldn't mind sitting there listening to you complain about the same thing over and over and over again because they're getting paid to sit there. Your friends are not going to want to sit there and listen to that again after the fifth or eighth time. Family members are probably not going to want to sit there and listen to it for the fifth or eighth. They're going to cut you off, be like, nah, you've given me this bullshit before. You ain't going to fix it. Don't talk to me about it. You see what I'm saying? Meds are not something that is used because it's going to mask the problem. Making your body as psychologically or emotionally numb to society instead of navigating through the issues is not good for you because you're not fixing your problem. The problem is that the people in your situation aren't working with you. They're not helping you. They're not benefiting you. They are the catalyst of your sabotage. So spending a bunch of money on drugs, that's not going to fix that problem. So the only thing the drugs are going to do is have you sit there emotionally dead so that you don't react to the fact that they are oppressing you in this situation, that they are completely disregarding you as a human being. That's not what drugs are supposed to be for. If you have a chemical imbalance that prevents you from functioning, you take the medication to bring back the chemical balance. If you have heightened levels of anxiety that can be regulated by medication, you take medication. But you could also get a service dog. So, I mean, do you really need drugs for everything under the sun, from being pissed off at a traffic stop to not getting the right change back at Home Depot? I don't think that drugs are supposed to be utilized for so many insignificant things that you can navigate through with just a lot of bit of a communication. He's at $175 per hour. I'm listening. You think that's a lot, but you got some therapists out there that paying like $350 an hour for consultations. The first one is free, and every other one, I'm giving you 2 hour minimum. And they office be nice. They therapy couch be comfortable. You can go to sleep in that bitch. Pay more money in your therapist to sleep in their office than what you did at a hotel, but you come out refreshed. The only person that can change you is yourself. But if you don't know what needs to be changed, that's the first problem you're going to be struggling with, which isn't a coping mechanism that you're having a trouble with coping. You don't know what needs to be fixed because you don't know what broke. And if you don't know what broke, where do you start? So I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. That's a good metaphor, but this is more to the magnitude of, take the U.S. government, for example. You got 500 some odd people in the same room for the last 60 days, unwilling to communicate, unwilling to cooperate, unwilling to compromise. So you're telling me that 500 something people need to go seek therapy so that they can work out the GDP? Or do they need to compromise a little bit more? Do they need to be a little bit more flexible with one another? There should be a little bit more give and take, right? Seeking therapy is a way to go. You can get professionalism, but a lot of times the people in your group need to get a little bit more therapy than you do. But let's look at the second secret. The second secret, financial infidelity and hidden debt. Money is one of the biggest sources of shame and stress in our society. So it's a topic many people are incredibly secretive about. This secret isn't just about hiding a shopping habit. It can be about a deep, dark financial hole your ex-wife was terrified to admit to. And this could be thousands of dollars in credit card debt that you never knew about, a secret gambling problem, a string of job losses, or just a total mismanagement of their finances that they expertly hide. The reason for hiding this is rooted in shame and a fear of being judged. They might have felt inadequate or irresponsible and worried that if you knew the truth, you'd see them as a failure or a liability. They might have kept telling themselves they could fix it before you found out, all while digging themselves into a deeper hole. Discovering this after a breakup is a unique kind of betrayal. It's not just about the money, it's about the detailed deception. So you start to look back and see all the times they were vague about work or why they couldn't afford something or why they were so stressed. And it makes you realize you were in a relationship with a version of a person, not the real one. This secret can also have real world consequences because if you have a joint account or shared financial duties, their secret debt could suddenly become your problem, creating a logical nightmare. And this is going to be on more of a logistics level, but this is going to be on top of the heartbreak is that coming out of debt, everything going into collection, shit being repoed. This is a nightmare. In addition to the breakup, all you would do is drag everyone down around you. I'm more than willing to listen to your issues, but it's still something you have to get done. Yeah, it's called taking action. Oh no, I'm agreeing with you. Yes, if an individual does have the ability to just sit there and complain repetitively about the same issue without ever seeking solutions. We talked about this last week is that that type of behavior, sticking to the past, is not forward thinking capabilities. And you have to be able to analyze what happened, separate, compartmentalize the emotions from the incident, and then evaluate how could that situation have resolved itself better? How could that situation have resolved itself differently? That's the only way to go. But it's hindsight. And you always know that hindsight is 50-50. We can always, being a third person, listening to a scenario, think about in a calm situation all of the ways that we would have done that differently. But in the heat of the moment, in the stress of the situation, especially in distressful situations, your response in the moment is not going to be the response of somebody looking back at it 10, 15 years ago. What they would have done, never being in a dangerous situation, what they would have done, never being in a threatening situation, what they would have done is different from what you did. But it doesn't change the fact that if you got a fresh set of eyes on things and y'all are both brainstorming together as to what else could be done to make this better, yes, working through it is got to happen at some point. Once you work through it, you're good to go. You're able to start taking action because if you don't know what action to take, how can you tell me that a person with a drinking problem has to take action? First step is stop drinking. No. First step is find out why you're drinking on the first place. You're not just drinking because it's available, because a lot of times you got to put effort into going out to get the drink. You're not drinking because it's easy to get the drink, because a lot of times you don't have enough money to have the drink and you have to decide between getting the drink and getting something else. Sometimes it's inconvenient for you to get this drink, but once you've gotten the drink, now that you have the drink, you're going to finish the drink. But you got to ask yourself what motivated you to go get that drink in the first place. Once you change that, that is the core issue. Then you can start working on all the other things that lead to the fact that you actually drink. People who smoke, first step to quit smoking is stop buying them. But you'll find that you'll stop buying them and start borrowing from other people. We call it bumming. You don't you reduce the quantity of cigarettes that you consume because you don't have any when you're desiring one. But the problem is, what is causing you to smoke? Because if you get past that anxiety, that hypervigilance, the desire and the need to smoke is no longer there, which eliminates your reasons for going out and buying or asking somebody for one in the first place. So by fixing the core problem, which you have to find that problem, and you might need help with finding that problem. And that's why you can get a friend or you can get a therapist for that. But once you find that problem, you can move forward with taking action. Because I'm jaded, listening to people daily with issues. uh, Being in the medical field, first step is to realize it's a problem affecting your life. I completely agree with that. The very first step to improvement, to self-improvement, is admitting that there is a problem. That it doesn't have to be you, it doesn't have to be the other person, but there is a problem, and that problem needs to be resolved. Once we recognize that, we can start looking for the problem. We're not looking to deflect, we're looking for solutions. Once we start working on identifying the problem, then we start working on identifying solutions. That's when things start improving. Then you can move forward. Exactly. Now, secret number three, the overlap relationship. And I got to tell you, we call it rebounds, but the overlap relationship, this is the third secret. He said the problem is you never admit it. Well, yeah, actually, the problem can be you. You're going to be involved in the problem because it happened to you. And admitting that, you're able to recognize that either something you didn't do or something that you did do, something you should have done, something you should have not allowed to get done, something you should have allowed to get done. Your decision making skills led you to that problem. Now fix it. So when we start talking about those overlapping relationships, this is a secret especially painful because it rewrites the history of your relationship. This isn't just about your ex dating someone new a week after you broke up. This is when the new person isn't a new person at all. The overlap relationship is when your ex was building an emotional or physical connection with someone else while you were still together. Then, if y'all break up, they're with somebody else immediately outside of the relationship. If you confront them, they will almost always deny it. Why? Because admitting it makes them a cheater and the villain of the story. So they'll insist the new relationship only started after you two were officially over, right? Officially. So they officially established their affair as a relationship after you officially broke up. They'll create a timeline that protects them, even if it makes no sense. They might say, we were just friends, or nothing happened until after we broke up. But your gut is probably telling you a different story. The pain of this secret is deep because it taints your memories. The last few months of your relationship, which you might have thought were just rough patches, are now seen through a totally new lens. He said rebounds are great for one night, but okay, random hookups might be entertaining, but a rebound relationship means that you came off the backboard of a relationship and have been intercepted into another relationship, right? So without healing or recovering or improving yourself from the relationship that you were in, you are now already in another relationship with no success from the last one. Rebounds, one night stands in between relationships, fantastic, but they're not healthy for you emotionally. It helps you become emotionally dead because you detach your emotional attachment from your physical connections. But rebounds are not good for you. He says, don't date people from the gym. One of you will be looking for a new gym. Don't date people from the gym that you work at. That's true. That's true. Now, when you're dealing with this overlapping relationship, you question every last night at the office, every new friend that they were texting, and it feels like your love story was a lie and you were the only one who didn't know the script. The reason they hide this so fiercely is to avoid accountability. By creating a clean break in their story, this relationship ended and then this one began. They get to sleep soundly at night and sidestep the guilt of the betrayal. Self preservation. They made a bad decision, or an impulsive one. And then they try to cover up their decisions because it was unethical or immoral. Their true feelings about the breakup, just as they hide the real reasons for breaking up, are the fourth secret. So they often hide how they truly feel after everything is over. Their social media or what you hear through mutual friends might be a carefully constructed performance. This secret usually has two opposite sides because on one side, your ex, uh, you got an ex who has secretly devastated uh, emotional feelings behind the breakup, but is putting on a brave face. They're out partying, posting photos of their amazing new single life, and it seems to be thriving. They do this because they don't want to look weak or give you a sense of satisfaction of knowing how much they're hurting. They can do a highlight reel of parties, but they would also, after the camera goes off, be dying inside, crying all the time, not really coping very well with the situation. In their minds, the person who moves on the fastest wins the breakup. They're terrified you'll move on quickly if you see them struggling. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Now, on the other side, you have the ex who is secretly revealed, or they're relieved and they're happy, but they pretend to be sad to not seem cruel. Especially when you're in a relationship where they've done you dirty for so long, and now that y'all broke up, you're like, thank God it's over. They might send you an occasional "I miss you" text or say things like "this is so hard" when they actually feel free. They do this to manage your emotions and ease their own guilt because they know that flaunting their happiness would be incredibly hurtful. So they perform a kind of respectful sadness to keep the peace. Both of these scenarios create huge confusion for you. One minute you see them looking like they are having the time of their life. The next, you get a breadcrumb text that gives you a glimmer of hope. This secret, their true emotional state, is what fuels the hot and cold behavior that can keep you hooked for months, wondering if they miss you or if they've moved on. The truth is, they're hiding their feelings to control the story and protect their own emotions. Michael says, do you feel social media has affected dating? Oh man, I've covered that topic many times on this show. Of course, social media has affected dating. He said, remember to like and subscribe. Definitely, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you take the opportunity to like and subscribe. Yes, we pretend like what we want society to see us as on social media. Um, there is a side of us that we don't show on social media. We do everything we can to hide certain things on social media. And the uncut script that is not seen on social media is who we really are. In dating, we like the highlight reel. We become attached to the highlight reel. Oh, yeah, they're in beautiful places, surrounded by lots of people. The center of every photo of large crowds of people. You think they're very popular. Then when you meet them, they're begging 30 people to do a group photo with them. 30 strangers that they don't know. When you meet them in person, oh, yeah, they're at these locations, vomiting in the back room somewhere, blacked out on a couch, being carried back to the house. The real person isn't the same as the highlight reel. Then we have the perception. You cannot think that a photo is a nice photo without being accused of having some type of emotional attachment uh, to that person in the photo. I can like a photo and not give two shits about the person in the photo. I could be attracted to the person in the photo and not pursue the person in the photo. But the woman that's with me will be intimidated by the type of women that I find attractive in photos. Men used to have magazines, Hustler, Playboy, and we used to hide them. Why? We will never meet these women in our lives, but girlfriends and wives will be intimidated because for some reason the women in the magazine might look better than the woman in our house. The fact is social media paints a fantasy. It paints a fantasy, and breakups are terrible because on social media the hard parts of the breakup are not shown. It is over, and that is it. It's, they moved on from that. On social media, it's just what are we moving? What are we talking about now? What are they into now? It isn't an autobiography where they're following their ex around with the camera so that you can see that they broke up and this one's suffering, this one's not. It's not. That's not what happens on social media. If this is my story and we broke up, the best parts of me moving on is there, no signs of the other person. If I want a pity party, the worst parts of me moving on is there and there's nothing from the other person. So the social media destroys relationships in a lot of senses because not only do you have that highlight reel, you also have additional temptation. And it's going to destroy it from both ends because women are more insecure than men are, to be fair, and women get more attention than men. Where do you think the insecurity comes from? I can only trust you to do what you know. Well, no, how it goes is this: I am only able to trust you with what I would be willing to do in the exact situation. That is where the trust in a relationship comes from. So if the female that is uncomfortable with the man talking to other girls on the or just liking, not even commenting, just liking other girls' photos. A guy might like 500 photos in a day, but a girl might get 500 messages from 500 different men in a day, right? Now, the woman getting a contact from a bunch of different hot guys every day might feel intimidated that her boyfriend is liking photos from women every day. The correlation is going to be this: she's maintaining communications with these guys, but she's not going to follow through with them. But she could. He's not even communicating with these women, but just like those men are reaching out to her, he could be reaching out to these women. He could be reaching out to 500 plus women in a day. The fear that if she knows that she has a good man, that one of those other women that might look better than her could treat him better than she's willing to treat him is what triggers her ability to feel insecure about him leaving her for somebody else. But if she knew that she was the best thing since sliced bread and he ain't going nowhere, she would not be intimidated by him looking at other photos. And some women might feel like he shouldn't be looking at other photos if he's happy with what he has. But how many guys have a car that they're satisfied with and play racing games every day on their gaming console with cars that they would never be able to afford in their lives? It's not about moving on from you. It's about distracting myself from what it is. Playboys under the bed until mom found it. Playboy is under the bed until your stepmom, not your stepmom, your mother-in-law found it. Because if you married, you in a relationship, and somebody mom is finding your Playboy is under the bed, it's gonna be her mom. It's a bonding moment if it's her dad, but oh yeah, I got this copy. In our days, we had Linda Carter. Yeah, look, yeah, Linda Carter. In my day, we had Holly Berry. You know, Laura Croft. You know, J Lo. You know, Uh, we had Aaliyah, way back before the plane crash. That was the chick right there. But these are women that we heard that Aaliyah had a bad attitude. I don't know if it's true or not. Nowadays, you wonder if it's a woman. Never did a poor person, male or female. Well, you ain't got no choice because 95% of the population, maybe closer to 99% of the population is poor, but at least 95% of the population is poor. Truth. People going, I ain't poor. All right. All right. I'll prove it to you. 2.9 million people, just about 3 million people right now are not getting their paychecks and haven't gotten their paychecks since September. If you can buy a plane ticket to Russia right now, you're probably not poor. If all of your bills are paid and you can go on vacation right now while you're furloughed, you're probably not poor. But if your ass is at a food bank trying to put food on the table, if you trying to borrow money to put gas in the car so you take your ass to work, you are poor. Doesn't matter if it's $250,000 a year job. It doesn't matter if it's a $500,000 a year job. Your standard of living is pennies away from topping out your salary. And because your salary stopped coming in for over a month, you're poor. Without, um, I told you guys before after the pandemic, it takes 3 consecutive missed paychecks to become homeless, right? And you already missed 2. If you don't subsidize some kind of way, you will lose your house, get your car repoed, because when you miss, and actually it's more than 3, it's something to the magnitude of like 4 to 6. And the reason why it's something to the magnitude of 4 to 6 paychecks is because you cannot be more than 60 days behind, technically 45 days behind on any of your bills. Because in the third month, they repo your car, they evict you from your house. See what I'm saying? So, when you say don't date poor people, it's just everybody's poor. Longest shutdown. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He gonna get what he want. He's a billionaire. He don't need shit. He gonna get what he want. I was looking at the shutdown since 2020, and every year there's a shutdown. There is. There is. Every year there's a shutdown. Some years there's more than one shutdown. And if this shutdown lasts long enough, it's gonna bleed into the second shutdown. So we'll just have a shutdown till January. That's fine. I don't get paid from government funds, so I ain't hurt. Unresolved mental and emotional health struggles is secret number 5. So the secret is often hidden not out of malice, but out of deep seated shame. Throughout your relationship, your ex may have been battling with significant mental or emotional health issues like chronic depression, severe anxiety, personality disorders, or unresolved traumas, which all of these individually could cause issues with physical intimacy. It wasn't you, it was them. They weren't always in the mood when you were in the mood because they had something going on. They weren't cheating, they just wasn't together, right? You might have seen some of the symptoms: pulling away, sudden irritability, unexplained sadness, where you would ask them, what's wrong? And they would truthfully tell you, nothing. And you would get pissed off because you know something is wrong because they're not supposed to be sad. Ain't shit happened. They just switch from happy to sad and they can't control it. Then there's an inability to connect emotionally, but you likely don't know the full story. People hide these struggles for many reasons. They may fear being seen as broken or a burden or crazy. They might have grown up in a home where mental health was a taboo topic, so they learned to suffer in silence. They may have also been afraid that if they were truly vulnerable with you, that it would scare you away. Psychological studies suggests that people with an avoidant attachment style may be more likely to hide their emotional troubles even from partners they love in an effort to protect them from distress. When the relationship ends, this secret can sometimes come out. Learning about this can bring a confusing mix of emotions. On one hand, it can be a light bulb moment. Their weird behavior, their weird emotional distance, the things you could never understand, suddenly they make a different kind of sense. It wasn't always about you. On the other hand, it can also bring feelings of sadness and helplessness. It's important to remember that their mental health is their responsibility. While this secret can offer an explanation, it doesn't excuse any of the harmful behavior that you had to endure. But knowing their actions were driven by an internal battle they were hiding from everyone else, and maybe even from themselves, can be a powerful step towards letting go of the blame you've been carrying as to why the relationship didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Michael said, I would say mental health is probably one of the highest in America. It's an issue. It's an ongoing issue. It's an ongoing issue because we have a lack of communication. We have demands. We stomp our feet, cross our arms. We refuse to perform until we get what we want. We don't negotiate. We don't compromise. We don't listen to each other. We don't share with each other knowledge of ourselves so that the other person can understand us and interpret us and be able to cope with us. So, yeah, when you suppress it for an extensive period of time, it bottles up and it festers for a very long period of time. And then when it comes out in all different kinds of ways. But it's not something that can be cured by simply just saying, I'm just going to put a therapist on payroll. It doesn't work that way because the issue, again, is that your situation does not support your position. Whether your position is you need mental stability, your situation doesn't support that. He said, also learn chess. Hey, get your experience on, brother, because I gotta tell you, some folks be out there. I got somebody I was checkmating on a regular basis. Who the heck called? They over here calling during. That was weird. Had individual giving this call. I'm trying to figure out I'm in the middle of a live podcast. You can come call me and see what I'm doing. You don't even know what I'm doing. But no, back to the whole you going to do some chess stuff. Yeah, go get some skills on. Cause I got a buddy. He was winning a while back. He only got a few good wins in, and then after that, he's on a losing streak. So now he's slowing down on his moves, which is good for me because I'm busy. But I got more time to think on how I'm going to crush him because I promised him that I was going to get on an undefeated streak because yeah, he's good. He's good. We're about what and what. I'm not going to be able to say that I'm better than him. I'm going to say that he's not paying attention to the board, and as a result, he can only capitalize off of me making too many mistakes. It's not a situation where we're both playing at peak performance. We're both making tons of mistakes, probably 5 to 10 mistakes per person on the game, which is a failed game technically. But the fact is that I only make one mistake less than him when I win. So I'm like, man, if you just pay attention to all of those mistakes that you be making, you might be a bomb ass player. You might be able to wipe the board with me and get like 35 undefeated streak. But as it stands right now, it's like he's favoring the wrong pieces. He's putting pieces in the wrong places. And I got to tell you, man, you should play him because when I play, I'm like, he gonna get it this time. He gonna get it this time. And then just mid game, I don't know what the hell he be going through mid game because mid game he lose the whole and then I'm like, ah, light at the end of the tunnel. And then I start boom, 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 boom. We sometimes get down to three pieces each. What? Look now, if we're getting down with the fact that you can get down to three pieces each, y'all both made a lot of damn mistakes. But the thing is that what has to happen is going back and looking over the game, especially if you're doing it on a cell phone or a computer, looking over the game, looking over the different places where you made a mistake. Some choices I've looked at when I've reviewed my game is that I refuse to make that move because that would have allowed me to lose a piece that I wanted to salvage. Now, that type of mentality is what causes mistakes, unnecessary mistakes, because you're trying to save a piece that you don't need to save, which allows your opponent to set up a better offense. Because while you're running from their piece or running from them to save your piece, they are setting up your downfall. And in that moment, instead of you just saying, you know what, I'm going to make a move, sacrifice all these pieces over here where I'm going to get the victory on the opposite side of the board, you're saying, no, I don't want to lose this piece. I don't want to lose that piece. I don't want to lose this piece because those are the pieces I want to win with. But you can't win with them. Those pieces are out of position now. You ran. And then because those pieces are out of position, they are no longer valuable, which means now the question is, can I can I benefit from losing this piece? Can I sacrifice this piece to make a win? And when you do that, that's when you stop because I don't always win with just a queen or just a rook. I'll win with a pawn. I'll win with a bishop. I'll win with whatever the hell I got left on the board. I'll try to check you with just the king if they let me do it. you know, it all it takes is you know uh just trying to find another way. Gotta look for another way. Yeah, that's right, setting up the board and pushing pawns. You got if you lose all of your pawns before you lose all of your back row pieces, where your pawns get three-quarters of the way across the board, a lot of times you can sacrifice your queen to turn your pawn into a queen, and you still got a queen. You can, matter of fact, sacrifice your queen, take their queen, take their bishop, and lost a pawn, but you've got a pawn on the other side of the board that is unblocked that can turn back into a queen, so you still got a queen. If your plan is to push your pawns to the opposite side of the board so that you can turn all of your pawns into queens, you can give up the one queen and two rooks and still have three queens to win the game. That's just I don't know. You got to think outside of the box. You got to come up with some other ideas. Exactly, turn them all into queens. But if you're using your pawns as shields to your king, yes, it blocks your king from being checked from across the board, but it also blocks your king from moving forward too. Which means now your opponent does not have to take out all of your big pieces that are on the opposite side of the wall of pawns. Your opponent only has to get one of their pieces on the opposite side of your wall of pawns to check your king in a way where your king can't run because the pawns are blocking the king. You can trap yourself and lose from that direction as well. So that's something else to take into consideration. Knights I keep shit. I don't keep shit. I'll win with five pawns. Fuck it. if I take a bishop, now I always all you need is five motherfuckers. So if I got five pawns in the right spot, I'll win with five pawns. I turn the bitches into queens. I'm self-sacrificing, so I don't really care. It's kamikaze style for me. A lot of times, I'll advance and then I'll retreat just so that I have room to advance a second time so I can clear the board up. I ain't even trying to half the time I don't even be trying to win. I just be trying to clear the board. I just be trying to take all the pieces. I place all my pieces on the empty road. Yeah, yeah. I switch it up like checkers. If they've got a bishop that's on white, I'll put all my pieces on black so that their bishop is useless. Which makes you, yeah, exactly. Now, before we get into the deeper, more unorthodox secrets, because that's what we were supposed to be talking about today, let's pause for a second. Because if you find yourself nodding along, recognizing some of the patterns that we've been talking about before we started talking about chess, and you're feeling that weight of unanswered questions, that's a sign that you're ready to start shifting your focus from them back to you. And the journey to closure is an inside job. He said, especially in the end. Oh yeah, if you have a you don't have to have a good start game, but if you have a decent mid game and an excellent end game, you can always turn it around on the back end. And I find myself uh, the underdog, so I'm good at turning my games around. So to help with improving yourself, we're going to be going into a closure clarity scenario. This is going to be something that we're going to discuss real quick. It's going to help you identify the main emotional blocks that are keeping you stuck. Are you holding on to hope, battling anger, afraid of being alone? This is the things that we're going to be trying to get through. And this insight will help you get into what your path needs to heal, and you'll be able to see what that looks like so that you'll be able to um, start moving forward in a positive fashion. So, if you guys are ready to continue, we've talked about the common secrets, the ones that are just under the surface, and now we're going to go even deeper. The next set of secrets is less common, but way more unsettling. These are the kinds of revelations that don't just change how you see the breakup, they change how you see the entirety of reality and the entire relationship as a whole, where um, you don't understand what relationship you were just in. Finding out one of these is like discovering you were in a completely different movie than you thought. Secret number 6 is a secret double life. Y'all seen that Usher song? Confessions. Yeah, the girl in a different state. She got pregnant. She called. This goes way beyond a hidden affair. Secret double lives. This is when your ex was living a completely separate, walled off life that you had no idea existed, like an undercover cop. This is the stuff of TV dramas, but it happens in real life with devastating results. What could it look like? It could be a secret family in another city. It could be a job they told you they had, but in reality, they were doing something totally different, maybe even something illegal. It could be a whole separate circle of friends who knew a version of you or your ex that you wouldn't even have recognized. In some extreme cases, people have found out their ex was using a different name or had faked their entire backstory. Wow. Now, the psychology behind this is complex, often involving severe personality disorders and a masterful ability to build walls between different parts of their lives so that one reality never touches another. For you, the person who was knowingly part of just one of these realities, the discovery is world shattering. It makes you question not only the relationship, but your own judgment. How could you live with someone and not know? The truth is, people who live these double lives are often incredibly skilled manipulators. They are experts at creating a believable front, and uncovering the secret is a profound trauma. And it often requires professional help to process the sheer scale of the deception. That is when you get a therapist. Secret number seven, a hidden severe addiction. We talked earlier about hidden mental health struggles, but a severe hidden addiction is a secret on another level. This isn't about your ex having a few too many drinks on a Friday night. This is about a full blown dependency on substances, gambling, pornography, or another compulsive behavior that they managed to keep completely hidden. People with severe addictions often become masters of deception, not just to others, but to themselves. Their life becomes an intricate dance of hiding their behavior, covering their tracks, and managing the fallout. You might have noticed signs, unexplained money problems, erratic moods, times when they were unreachable, but you likely explained them away or accepted their excuse because the alternative seemed unthinkable. Discovering the truth about a hidden addiction after the breakup is a complicated experience. There can be a sudden jarring sense of clarity. All the fights, the broken promises, the unpredictable behaviors, it all clicks into place. It wasn't that they didn't love you, it was that their addiction had hijacked their brain. This can bring a strange sense of relief, but it's also coupled with deep pain of knowing you were lied to and the grief for the person you thought they were. It forces you to face their reality that you were in a relationship, not just with a person, but with their addiction. And the addiction was always the third person in the room. Secret number eight, we're almost through. I think we got about 10 secrets here. It's a lot of secrets. Questioning their identity. Now, Michael made the comment earlier that back in the day, women were women, and today we can't tell if she's a woman or a man that looks like a woman. We don't know what's going on. Gender and sexuality is a huge issue. That is a secret, and this is deeply personal and sensitive secrets that calls for a compassionate understanding. Your ex may have spent your entire relationship wrestling with their sexuality or their sexual orientations or gender identity, and the distance you felt, their inability to fully commit, or their periods of confusion might have had nothing to do with you, but everything to do with a profound internal conflict they were terrified to face, let alone share. They may have gotten into the relationship hoping that being with you would make these feelings go away or that they could fit in to a more conventional life. They may have genuinely loved you, but at the same time felt like they were living a lie. They fear telling you could have become paralyzing. Fear of hurting you, of upending their own lives, and of what it would mean to finally accept this part of themselves is the other half of the paralyzation. For the person left behind, this revelation can be incredibly confusing. You might feel like you were used as a cover story or that the entire relationship was a fraud. You might question your own attractiveness. Those feelings are valid, but it's important to try to understand that this was likely not a meticulous lie, and they were not in any way, shape, or form trying to be malicious with you as well. But it was a result of their own fear and confusion. This secret isn't about a rejection of you, but an emergence of their true self. Processing this requires immense empathy, both for them and for yourself, as you grieve the relationship you thought you had. Secret number nine is a hidden or distract, uh, distractedly different past. Drastically different past. Apologies. So a hidden or drastically different past. So this secret shakes the very foundation of your relationship. The person you knew was built on a series of significant lies about their past. This isn't a small white lie. This is a fundamental misrepresentation of who they are. They might have lied about their family, climbing or claiming to come from wealth when they came from poverty, like Aladdin, or the other way around. They could have faked their educational or professional histories. In more extreme cases, they might have hidden a past marriage, children you never knew about, or even a criminal record or an arrest record where they don't have a criminal history, but they've had some negative experiences with law enforcement. The motive for hiding this is often rooted in deep shame or a desperate need to escape their past. They may have believed that if you knew the real them, you never would have given them a chance. So they created a new identity and you fell in love with that creation. Uncovering this secret feels like the ground has crumbled under your feet. The person you shared your life with, the person you were vulnerable with, was in some basic way a fictional character. It forces you to question every story that they've ever told you, every memory that you've ever made. Wasn't any of it ever real? The betrayal is so deep because it means that the entire relationship was built on lies. Healing from this kind of deception isn't just getting over a breakup, it's about building your own ability to trust your own judgment and learning to just trust other people again. Number 10, this one's going to be really good. Their true transactional intentions for the relationship. Ladies, pay attention. This is perhaps the most chilling and dehumanizing secret to uncover. It's the realization that for them, the relationship was never about love. It was about a transaction. You were a means to an end. What does this look like? They may have been with you for your money or your social status. They could have been using you as a rebound to get over someone else or as a placeholder to avoid being alone. They might have seen that's rebound relationships right there. They might have seen you as a stepping stone to a career opportunity or a way to get a visa. They said, I love you. They went through the motions and they may have even been a convincing partner, but their heart was never in it. Their true intention was always selfish. This is different from just falling out of love. This implies the love was never there to begin with. Uncovering this secret is profoundly painful because it invalidates you and your whole experience, your genuine emotions, your vulnerability, your investment. It all feels like it was a waste on someone who was just using you. It can make you feel naive, foolish, and deeply cynical about love. The reason they hide this is obvious. The entire plan depended on you believing the relationship was real. Admitting the truth would have ended the transaction. Processing the secret requires you to fiercely reclaim your own worth and understand that their inability to love is a reflection of their character, not your value. So, what now? Finding closure when the truth is hidden. After hearing about all of these potential secrets, it is easy to feel overwhelmed, angry, or even paranoid. You might feel a desperate urge to play detective or dig for the truth, to confront your ex and demand answers, but I want to offer you a different path. While understanding these potential secrets can give you some context, real healing rarely comes from getting one final confession from your ex. In most cases, you will never get a full, unvarnished truth. People who keep big secrets are often incapable of the kind of radical honesty needed for real closure. So, what do? You create your own closure. Closure isn't an apology you get from someone else, it is a sense of peace you build inside yourself. It's the moment you decide your future is more important than their hidden past. And here's how you start. First step, accept that you might never know the truth about whatever happened. The first and hardest step is accepting this because that is when you understand the whole story, not really all that important. You could spend months or even years obsessing over what they were hiding, but that obsession is a cage. It keeps you mentally and emotionally tied to them. Accepting this doesn't mean you're okay with what happened or that it wasn't painful. It means that you stop fighting reality. The relationship is over, and the answer you think you need may never come. This isn't a sign of weakness. It is you taking your power back because you're deciding that you no longer need their truth to write your own next chapter. The next step is turning the focus inward. Instead of putting your energy into their secrets, turn that energy inward. This experience, as painful as it is a powerful teacher. Ask yourself some honest questions. Were there red flags that I ignored? Were there times that my gut told me something was wrong, but I silenced that voice? What did this relationship teach me about my own boundaries, my own non negotiable expectations for behavior? This isn't about blaming yourself, it's about learning. Every relationship, even the ones that end badly, can teach us something about what we want and what we won't tolerate, and how the truth and trust in ourselves is more important in our futures. Using this as a lesson in self awareness, not a judgment in your own self worth, is profound. The third step, creating distance, both digitally and physically. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick in the first place. To find closure, you need space. This means going no contact for a while, block them on social media, delete their number, put away the mementos. This isn't a game to make them miss you. This is a must do for you and your own healing. Every time you check their social media or reply to a friendly text, you are reopening the wound and letting their confusing energy back into your life. You need a clean break to detox from the relationship and to hear your own voice again. Step four is going to be focusing on rebuilding your own story because your ex secrets doesn't get to be the final word. It's time for you to become the author of your own story again. This means actively pouring energy back into yourself and your own life. Reconnect with friends that you distance yourself from, family members you no longer talk to anymore. Dive into a hobby that makes you feel alive. Set new goals. Run a 5K. Learn a new language. Plan a solo trip. If we learned a new language every time we broke up with somebody, we would probably know 10 or 20 languages or 3 to 5 languages and have far less relationships because we would spend so much time learning new languages. When you start building a life that you are excited about, the space your ex takes up in your mind naturally gets smaller. You stop being the person who was deceived and become the person who is growing, thriving, and creating a beautiful life on your own terms. You do not have to go through this alone. In fact, trying to handle this level of emotional pain by yourself can make things worse. You lean on your support system, your trusted friends and family who can listen without judgment. And if you leave uh, uh, behind any emotional damage that you have, you can find that you can evaluate um, a deeper connection with yourself through your network. Look, I'll be sitting over here looking at these messages popping up over here. Now, if you've been hit by one of the deeper, more unorthodox secrets, getting professional help from a therapist or a coach isn't just a good idea, it can also be essential. A therapist can give you the tools to process trauma, rebuild your own sense of self, and learn how to trust again. Admitting that you need help is a sign of incredible strength. The maze of an ex's secrets can feel like an impossible puzzle. It's natural to want to solve it. If you find that one piece, that will make everything else make sense. Now, we've looked at a range of secrets today, from common half truths about why relationships ended to the life altering discoveries of a double life and deep deceptions. But the single most important thing to understand is this: your closure is not hidden in their secrets, it lives inside of you. It's not found in a final confession or a tearful apology. It is built in the quiet, courageous moments when you decide to stop looking back and start moving forward. Because, truth be told, real quick, when they do that tearful apology, you are not even phased by the I'm sorry. It don't matter how they do it, whether they do it in a professional fashion, whether they do it in a grandstand moment, making a scene about it. It don't phase you, because what they did to you, or what they did that hurt you, even if they didn't do it to you, I'm sorry is not going to turn the switch off of the pain that you feel. And saying I forgive you does not turn off the pain that you feel. So chasing them down for the apology is just an excuse not to let it go. It's in the deception to accept it's actually a decision that you have to make. It's not just it the issue does dwell in the deception. But the deception of believing that you can get closure from an apology, the deception that you believe about getting closure from declaring to them that you forgive them, that's not where it's at. It is the decision when you decide, when you make it up in your mind to accept what you know and accept what you can't know, to learn from what you went through, to rebuild your world, and to eventually forgive, not for them, but for you. Forgiving yourself is what you need to be thinking about right now, because forgiving yourself for what you didn't know and allowing yourself to heal, because forgiveness is not just you forgiving the other person. You were involved in that situation. When it went south, you were part of the reason why it went south. And while forgiving them for their half of things takes away your resentment from their behavior, forgiving yourself can take away a different type of resentment that actually self devalues, that diminishes self worth. So think about that, because the path to healing is not about forgetting, it's about letting the memories and the questions lose their power over you. You were a whole person before this relationship, and you are a whole person now. Their secrets are part of their story. Don't let them be the defining chapters of yours. Now, if tonight's show resonated with you, you need to please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe. Follow it on YouTube, follow it on Twitter. Chase us down on TikTok, because we're going to be touching base with TikTok coming soon, because I do believe it was December 15th or December 26th. They were supposed to be signing off on TikTok. So we're going to be seeing what's going on with that, because if they don't rock that rocky road before March, that's it. Now, be sure to check out some of our upcoming videos, such as the real signs that your ex is only pretending to be over you. We're going to be covering that one next week, as a matter of fact, because we have all of this week pretty much lined up already. But that topic we're going to be coming over next week, Thursday. And this is where we're going to be getting down and deep into the post breakup behaviors. That way you kind of know. Now, if you are interested in getting back with your ex, that might be a way to go. But if you're in the situation where you could care less what's going on with your ex, if you know that they are not over you, then you know why they're hovering around you. Still means that you got to navigate away from negative behavior if there's negative behavior involved. But if they're not showing you improvement, there is no reason for you to give them a second chance because your problem was what wasn't being fixed. And your problem will continue to be what doesn't get fixed. So going back is going to give you more of the same. With that being said, I'm going to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And, fellas, I provide you all of this information to help you guys become higher value men because when you start improving your business life, it helps improve your personal life. And when you improve your personal life, it helps you build your business life. Ladies, while we are about 54% male driven podcast from the male's perspective, we are not exclusively to the men. Ladies, y'all can take all of the information we give you and y'all can utilize it to make yourselves higher value women. When y'all focus on the things that you do not like in your life that you can control and make those changes, you can then take the remainder of your energy and navigate around the things that you cannot control. When you improve the things that you dislike about your life, then you can make your life worth valuing yourself. You like your life. Doesn't matter what everybody else likes about their life. Your life is what you like doing. You understand? So instead of blaming the government and blaming society or whatever the case may be, you change your narrative so that you are happy with your outcome. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.